And welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and in today's video, I am going to share my process video for story number 11 in my December Daily 2021 album. This story is about our most anticipated movie that we are going to see this season, which is the new Spider-Man movie releasing on December 17th. The Spider-Man No Way From Home movie is one that my husband and I have been looking forward to ever since it was first announced what it was going to be and the trailer came out. We are so excited. So in the process video that you're going to see coming up, I'm going to show you how I created the foundation of this page, how I made the shaker pocket television here, and then I'll also show the journaling for the bottom section. However, at this point in time, I'm also planning to add a section of journaling after we see the movie in a couple of days from now. So this part won't be in the process video. You'll just know that I add a piece of journaling here and that it folds down and is a flip up for extra journaling. So that's going to be our after the movie thoughts, but I do have some before movie thoughts that I had my husband write out. So what we'll do is we'll get into the process video, and once that's complete, we will come back over here. I'll read you his little snippet of excitement for the movie, and then we will call that good. All right, so let's start by jumping into the foundation portion of this layout. So the first thing I did here was to decide on a background color or background pattern paper to use for my entire layout, which is going to go outside of the page protector. I landed on this one, which is one of the pattern papers from Vicki Boutin's Christmas line this year. I don't remember the name of that Christmas line, but I will make sure to link that exact paper that I used in the description box down below in case you're looking for it. I really liked the mixed media feel and kind of the grunginess of the pattern paper itself. For the title piece, I took one of the glitter cardstock titles that came in the main kit from Ali Edwards this year, and I cut the title all apart so that I could just isolate two words, this and story. So my title piece went from "This story has my heart" to just saying "this story." Next, what I did is I took the digital version of the TV paper pad from Ali Edwards' Watch Story Kit, which is a couple years old at this point, and no longer available digitally. But if you have this kit, then this is a great idea for what to do with that TV pad. I took that and I put it into my Silhouette program and cut out that exact same TV shape there out of the plaid green pattern paper from, I can't remember if that was part of the main kit this year or if that was one of the add-on papers. But I loved the contrast of the plaid on top of this red paper, this red polka dot paper. My idea for this story is to tell or to talk about the #1 movie that we have to see this December. And for my husband and I, that's actually not even a holiday story at all, or a holiday movie. It is the newest Spider-Man movie that's coming out in the middle of December. So that's what this is going to be all about. What I thought would be a fun way to highlight the movie would be to take this TV and turn it into a shaker pocket using some of this iridescent snow that I purchased from the Target dollar aisle this year. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the cut file or the piece that I had cut out on my Silhouette, and around the outside or the perimeter of the screen, the quote-unquote screen part of the TV, I added some red line tape, making sure that the tape was touching on the four corners. So that way there's no gaps in where that's adhered down. Then I took a piece of transparency, just plain acetate, and adhered that into the window. So now I can add something behind it and have the window portion prevent the stuff from coming out. So once I had that done, I next needed to add on some foam tape, which is what I'm doing here, in order to make this stand up a little bit from my background paper. That's going to allow the snow, quote unquote snow, to move around inside of the screen, and it'll give this almost a almost like a snow globe type of feel, and I think it's really, really cool. Again, it is important to make sure that the adhesive corners are all touching each other so that the snow or glitter or whatever you put inside of your shaker pocket does not come out. And then in order to make the rest of the TV at the same level, I needed to add more of the foam tape to the thicker section on the side and the antennas. So now this is set and ready for me to create my page later in the month. Also on the cut file, there were two little sections for TV buttons, like an old-fashioned TV. And so I grabbed these really adorable puffy gold stars from the mini star kit this year, and I added two of those as my dials. And then I'm also going to grab the white puffy stickers, number puffy stickers, and I'm going to add the number 11 above the two stars. So that will designate the story number 11 here on the page. For the journaling, my idea at this point was to type up my journaling, print it out on vellum, and stick that down below the TV so that I can still add in a little bit of story. And then I'm also going to print off a photo of the movie and add that behind the plastic part of the TV. So I am going to go ahead and adhere down my title. Because I cut this apart from a larger piece, the TH and IS are separate from each other. So when I'm placing these, I'm just making sure to keep them at the same level and add a tiny bit of space in between the H and the I. The word story is all one piece, so that makes this one really easy. I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that straight down onto the page. And I did earlier hole punch the side of this paper as well. So that way, I knew that nothing was going to interfere. So now we're going to get into the construction of the rest of this layout. And I do need to apologize for my lighting. I actually work on these projects live with my patrons over on Patreon, and I had to reschedule my time to an earlier time in the day, not realizing that the sun was blaring in my window at the time. So we just ran with it and got the pages done. But because of that, you're going to have a lot of shadowing on the rest of this video. So just a heads up on that. And I apologize. It'll be for this one and then also for story number 12. You'll notice the same thing. So what I'm doing here first is I am going to go ahead and take the photo. This is just a picture of the poster artwork for the new movie, which is Spider-Man No Way Home. And I took off the release tape or the release paper on the back side of my foam tape on two edges. So I can't remember if it was the top or the bottom, and one of the sides. That's going to allow me to pull the pieces apart, you'll see here in just a minute, and pour some of this snow down inside. I do make the mistake of adding too much, and I will have to peel some of this apart again and dump some of it back out. It just was too full and covered up too much of the picture. But otherwise, this worked really well. So once I had the snow down inside, I could take off the release paper for the other two sides and fully adhere that down onto the photo. Another tip with this is that I actually printed my photo on matte photo paper instead of glossy. Most of the time I use the the Canon, is it Canon? I think so, Canon Glossy Photo 2 paper. But because I knew I was going to put the snow down inside, if that were touching glossy paper, it would stick to it. So the matte paper allows it to fall down and not stick to the photo. So I've got that down inside of there. This is where I am peeling part of it back in order to get some of that snow back out because it was too much. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of score tape there and fix that so it goes back down. In fact, it actually ripped my photo a tiny bit, but when you put everything back down onto the surface there, you can't even tell that there's a rip in it. So it's not a big deal. So now my TV portion is done. I'm going to add a little bit more tape to the back of the TV, and then we'll stick the whole thing down onto the page. The photo covered up most of the foam tape, so that's why I want to add some more of the score tape on the back in order to get the entire thing adhered down onto the page. It's just going to go into the middle underneath my title, this story, and it'll be what it's going to be. And then for my journaling, I actually decided that I wanted to add some journaling for before we saw this movie and then some journaling after we see this movie. At the time of making this page, the movie has not been released yet. So this was day 11. I was working on it on the 13th of the month, and the movie releases on the 17th. So when I was doing my planning for my stories this month, I made the mistake of planning this one to be a little bit too early, and that's totally fine. What that allows me to do is add the before and the after thoughts. So my husband is actually the major Spider-Man fan in the house, more so than the rest of us, but the rest of us also love Spider-Man too. And I wanted him to add his own words in for why he's so excited for this movie. And let me tell you, he's excited. He's watching all of the trailers and getting deep into the theories of what's going to happen, and it's really fun. We're very, very excited. So I had him type up his journaling on this small piece. I believe it's like 5 inches wide by 1 inch tall. So there's not a lot of room. It's just a couple of sentences. And then to spruce it up a little bit so it's not so stark and white, I added a tiny bit of washi tape. And this is actually fabric washi tape from Tim Holtz from last year. I've looked and it's no longer available, but it was a really awesome product. So I've got this fabric washi tape that I'm adding just a tiny little bit to the top and the bottom of the journaling portion. And then I'm going to create a hinge that will allow this little piece to flip up and reveal additional journaling underneath. Currently, I don't have that journaling done, and you're not even going to see it in the photos because, again, we haven't gone to see the movie yet. Once we see the movie, I will have him write his afterthoughts about it, and then I may also add my own, and I will add that underneath the flip up. So that portion will be 2 inches by 5 inches. So it will cover the upper portion of the flip and then also underneath as well. So that will make everything, that'll make everything covered and finished and all of that. So to make this hinge, I cut a piece of plain copy paper at 1 inch wide, and then I'm going to cut it down to the 5 inches in length. And then I'm going to add some adhesive to one edge of that. So when you have the piece folded, you're going to add adhesive to one side, and that is going to then become the top or go at the top of your flip, if that makes sense. So the folded edge lines up with the edge of your element. So I'm going to stick that down on there. I'm using score tape here again because this is going down on top of that fabric tape, and I didn't want this to peel up if I had used roller adhesive or something like that. So I'm just going to make sure it's on there extra strong. We're going to stick this across the top, and then from here I can go ahead and trim it so it's exactly the right width as the piece that I had printed with the journaling. So we'll cut that off. And I debated waiting and adding this onto the page later once I have the rest of my journaling done, but then ultimately decided it didn't really matter. So as long as I print my next piece at the 2 inches by 5 inches and score it at the 1 inch and stick it in there from that point, it'll be totally fine. And I might even cut it down a little bit less than 2 inches so that when it folds down, there's nothing peeking out. Which might make more sense a little bit later when I actually go to do it. Yes. So because this is going to be a piece that flips up, I will also add an Avery tab to the bottom and stamp out a sentiment that will go inside of that Avery tab. I believe the one I use for this is just 1 inch wide. I get the ones that are an inch wide, and then I also have, I think, ones that are an 1.5 inch wide, so you can get them at 2 different sizes. And just depending on the project and depending on how big the flip is, that usually determines how big of the Avery tab I choose. For the sentiment on the inside of that tab, I'm going to grab my stamp set from Ali Edwards. This was part of the December Daily release this year, and it's got a bunch of tiny words on it. I'm going to choose the words watching because that makes total sense to me, and then also loving because, again, that makes total sense to me. And I will stamp those in, I believe I do red ink for this one. So I'll grab my Redwoods Ali Edwards ink for that. I like the pop of red against the pop of green. Yes, it's going to be red. I'm like, I couldn't remember if I chose red or if I chose green. Red it was. So because the TV is green and the washi tape is green, that is why I chose the red, is just to help it kind of blend into the background without taking away from the green of the other elements on the page. It's funny, as this process has been going, my lighting has been changing. I don't know if you can tell, where the shadows are getting a little bit stronger, which is good. It's better lighting when the sun is not shining directly on my desk. All right, so we're going to stick that in there and put it on top of the journaling piece. I do actually adhere it down on the top portion because when I get the other journaling in there, I can just lift it off of the bottom, put down the journaling, and then bring it back over and adhere the Avery tab totally onto that section. And then I stick this in the album and call it done. All right, friends, well, that completes my process for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing how this one came together, and if you did, I would love a thumbs up on this video down below, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you can catch all of my future crafty videos as well. So let's go ahead and read the little bit of journaling here at the bottom. This I asked my husband to write one night before he went to bed. I just told him, hey, can you just type up some thoughts about why you're excited to see this movie? And he totally did it for me. So here it is. He says, I think it would be so cool if Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were in the new Spider-Man movie. It would make all of the reboots of Spider-Man make sense if they put the spin of them being different versions of Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. All of the old villains are coming back, so they must be in it. Don't let me down, Marvel. And then I put in parentheses Aaron so that we would know in the future that that was something that he wrote. So then after we see the movie this coming weekend, I'm going to add the story there. So I'll have him write out his thoughts on the movie, and I might also write out mine, and then I'll attach that here in the bottom, and then this layout will be fully all the way done. All right, well, that's going to be it for today. I will be back again tomorrow with the next layout in this album, so hopefully I will see you back here then. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, friends.